This episode brought to you by Home Cooking Delivered, the home cooking delivery service in and around Southampton. Check out their Facebook by searching Home Cooking Delivered or by going to their website www.homecookingdelivered.net. Well, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Thoughts from the Toilet. It is Friday the 31st of August. How fucking quick is this year passing us by? I feel like I've just blinked and it's September already. It's going to be Christmas literally in a few weeks' time. And then before we know it, 2019 will be knocking, and 2018 will be a distant memory. Like, when you're young and everyone says life moves quicker as you get older. When you're younger and people say that to you, you just think, oh, they're just being old people. They're just saying stuff that old people say to you to try and make you appreciate life a little bit more. But it's not until you actually get that little bit older and you realise just how true they were. And they say, Christmas doesn't mean as much as you get older. And again, that's just one of them things where you think they're just jealous that they're old and they're not getting as many presents as what they would do as a child because they're a bigger person, so now they don't need so much toys. And when you're young, you think they're just trying to ruin it. But as you get older, you do realise, things like Christmas and stuff are more for the kids and they don't mean as much. And as you get older, it is more about spending good quality time with your family and friends. When people used to say life moves quicker as you get older, it's true. I totally agree with it now. And they, when all them crazy shitty sayings where they say like, school years are the best years of your life. Well, yeah, I can totally agree with that now because all I had to do when I was at school was wake up. My mum would wake me up. My clothes would be ready. My breakfast would be ready. My lunch would be made. I'd go to school for 9 o'clock, do sort of 6 hours of, I don't want to say learning, I'll say paying attention to things I wanted to pay attention to, but the majority of the time, was just fucking around with friends. And then at 3 o'clock, the bell would go, you'd cycle home with your friends, and that was that. Dinner would be ready for you, and that was the only thing you had to worry about was, not losing your rubber or your pencil sharpener or making sure, that your pencil stays sharp. And now I'm an adult, I've got more to be worried about. So as a child, going to school, yes, school years are the best years of your life because you don't have shit to worry about. You don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about having food in the cupboards. You don't have to worry about, trying to have friends and socialise with your friends. But when you be an adult, socialising with your friends is not an option because there's so much more things you need to do, and there seems to be less time but more things. So socialising with friends becomes a hardship. But lucky for me, I've got some good friends where it's all sort of low maintenance sort of stuff where we just text and check in, and every now and again we see each other. We go out for some food and stuff. But I know my friends are all okay, and all my friends know that I'm okay. But it just seems like the hours get shorter as the older you get. So fucking God knows how it's going to be when I'm like 80 if I'm still here. But if I think life is moving quick now, and I'm only 27 years old, I'm an adult, but I'm young. I still got a lot of hopefully I've got a lot of years ahead of me, and I feel like life is moving at 100 miles an hour right now, and I'm only 27. So what happens when I hit 30 and get the far side of 30, and then it's 40, then 50, and then before I know it, an hour is going to last maybe a minute if I'm lucky. So sex is going to be right out the window because this is going to be pointless. Because 30 seconds now, you know how quick an hour is. Take 30 seconds out of that hour, and then when I'm 50, you take that 30 seconds, it's going to be a blink of an eye. So it's just going to be pointless. So maybe we'll start to talk to each other more. But talking about friends and stuff, I've got a lot of friends at the moment that are sort of going through a real rough time for whatever reason. All different reasons. And I've been spending maybe more time with them. And I'm glad, because I'm glad that I'm helping, or at least I think I'm helping where I am, where I can. But it makes you realise how life is not all singing and dancing. And this week I've been a bit of an emo Nemo, just sort of swimming around in my own thoughts and being a bit upset about things that I usually wouldn't be upset about, and being a bit more stressed, and just feeling like there's more pressure on life at the moment. So what I've started to do is I've started to write down like between 5 and 10 things every day that I'm grateful for, and that's my gratitude list. And then when I sit and think, I sit and think about it, life is not all that bad. As I'm writing down these things that I'm grateful for, I realise that life is actually okay. There's people that out there that are a lot worse. So a gratitude list is a real good way to, keep your head on your shoulders and not become a victim of your own attitude or your own mind. It makes you realise your life is okay, and it is going to be okay. But my gratitude list, I'll find it and I'll share it with you, just so you get a feel for the sort of things that I'm grateful for on a daily basis. So at the top, I always write at the top, accept what you cannot control, you cannot change. And that's good, because a lot of times we get annoyed about things that are out of our control. But if you can't control it, you can't change it. Therefore, you shouldn't really you shouldn't look into it too much, and you shouldn't, beat yourself up about it too much, because if you can't control it, you can't change it. And if you could control it and change it, then you would. So I think that's a real good saying to have at the top there. But yesterday, I haven't wrote today's yet because I'm in a good mood today. Maybe because I'm not working and I'm doing a podcast and with you guys. Thanks for being here. But yesterday's gratitude list was I was grateful for my limbs. I still am grateful for my limbs, because I'm fortunate enough to have all of my working limbs, and that makes life easy. That's true, because you ever tried, if you ever tried like tying an arm behind you and trying to wash up with one arm, you can't do it. Trying to walk with one leg is difficult. So I'm forever grateful. Every day I'm grateful that I've got all of my appendages and they all work correctly, because anything can happen at any moment, and you could just lose one of them. So I feel like we take our limbs for granted. So I'm grateful for my limbs all the time. I'm grateful for my backpack, as it helps to carry my stuff and makes carrying my stuff easier. And backpacks get overlooked a lot. We take them for granted, definitely, because we just assume, we just load it up with our stuff. How selfish is that? We just chuck all of our stuff in it and we expect it to hold it all. But if all the stuff we put in that backpack or that bag or your purse or your handbag or whatever you carry, all of our stuff we put in there, if we didn't have that, that container to put them in, the receptacle, that cat daddy receptacle right there to put all of our stuff in, carrying all of that stuff would be very difficult. So I'm thankful for my backpack, because that helps me with life, because I don't have to carry all my stuff. It carries it for me. All I do is put all my stuff in there and I carry that. So that's a lot easier. I'm grateful for my alarm clock, because it wakes me up on time. It's an important one. We hate to hear that alarm clock in the morning, but imagine if we all just slept in all day. No one had an alarm clock. No one got up at a certain time. Nothing would get done. No one would go to work. So alarm clocks shouldn't be, again, they should not be overlooked. They should, we should respect alarm clocks more. We should have more gratitude towards alarm clocks. Yesterday I was grateful for other people, because this helps us to realise and know that we are all individuals. Because it's so easy to get caught up in what you see on social media and become, like what social media expects us to be like. Social media expects us all to be skinny or have fake breasts and big muscles. But, life's not like that. And if the whole world was the same, imagine how boring this whole place would be. So seeing other people of all different colour, creed, sexual orientation, size, it makes you realise that we are individual and we should be grateful for being individuals because it's not boring. And my fifth one yesterday was I was grateful for shops. So we can buy all the stuff that we want and all the stuff that we need. Because, years and years ago when we were cavemen and stuff, we would have to go out and hunt for food. Or we would have to find food and find ways to survive. And now it's just put on our doorstep for us to leave. We've even got people going to the shops in their pajamas. It's that easy to go to the shop and get stuff. They go in their pajamas. So shops I'm eternally grateful for because it makes life a lot easier by going to get all of that stuff. And it sort of got me thinking we should probably love ourselves a little bit more. Not to the point where we're putting up 100 selfies on Instagram a day. But, just loving ourselves for being who we are and loving what's inside of us. And that's not a euphemism. But, there's a lot of beauty inside a lot of people. And there's a lot of people out there who are, a lot of people who are maybe damaged, maybe, from something that's happened in their lifetime or something that's happened to them recently. A lot of people are down in the dumps about themselves. But we need to learn to love ourselves that little bit more. Just so I feel like if we learn to love ourselves, then we can love and embrace other people. But I think the first step is loving ourselves and becoming emotionally self-sufficient. We need to learn to control our own emotions. And I totally agree. Talking about emotions and talking about your problems are a massive, massive help. But we also need to learn to channel that and deal with them emotions on our own in some ways. And that's not me saying bottle everything up and don't tell anyone, because talking is a great outlet. What I mean is if we're going to be seeking other people's help for our problems, then we need to be able to, want to help ourselves. You can't expect help from someone if you are not willing to help yourself. And that's just the crux of the matter. Because, it's not fair on the person who is trying to help you, because it's not a waste of their time as such. But, if they're going to put time and effort into you to help you get past and move past whatever is getting you down, then you need to want to get past it as well. Because it's pointless somebody telling you how to and you just go in reverse all the time. So self-love and emotional self-sufficiency, I think, is a big thing for us going forward. But I understand not everyone is capable of doing that. Everyone needs that little bit of extra help. But hey, on a more positive note, we've got my nephew. We look after my nephew every other weekend, and we take him kickboxing at Next Generation Martial Arts in Southampton, which is where I do my martial arts stuff as well. So we have my nephew every other weekend, and we take him kickboxing on Saturday mornings, and he's excited because a couple of weeks ago he got a new tortoise. I'm not sure whether you should say tortoise or tortoise, because it's spelt tortoise, but I believe it's pronounced tortoise. So I'll stick with tortoise. Anyway, he got a new tortoise and he was over the moon. He called him Zuma because obviously the sarcasm, and it's ironic. So he called him Zuma. And then one day, the dog got out of the kitchen, and let's just say Zuma was no more. The dog caught up with Zuma, because it's not hard to catch up with a tortoise, because they don't move very quick, and dogs move a lot quicker than what a tortoise can. So the dog caught up with the tortoise, and the tortoise was no more for this world. And that was sad, because he was really cool, and he didn't want that to happen, but it's just it's just a dog doing what dogs do. So they've got another tortoise. They took it to him yesterday, and he would know that it's not the right one, because this one's a lot smaller. So, but yeah, he didn't know. they had to explain to him is a little bit. They said that the tortoise had been at the vets because it had been a little bit poorly, so it had been away at the vets and stayed with the vets for a little while. So it's lost a little bit of weight, and he bought into that. He's happy. He's over the moon that he's got his tortoise back. And I didn't realise how strange tortoises are, because it took a shit on me. No, it shit on Hannah. It took a shit on Hannah, and it urinated on me. So me and Hannah were over there to meet him. This was the original Zuma 1.0. We went over there to meet him and be nice to him, and welcome him into the family. And he paid us back. He defecated on Hannah, and then he urinated on me. So they're pretty rogue. They just don't. I don't think they know family love, which is a shame, because everyone should know love. But yeah, he urinated on me, and his urination was white. So that was a little bit different. On the subject of amphibious beings, Hannah and I watched Blackfish the other day. If you haven't seen Blackfish, it's on Netflix, and it is about SeaWorld. You have SeaWorld in Florida, in San Diego, and all around the world you have the different SeaWorlds with the orca whales, or the killer whales as they're more commonly known. And it's really, really eye-opening and upsetting, because the way they're caught is people are paid, like fishermen are paid to sort of chase these orca whales, and these orca whales are not stupid. They sort of they cotton on what's happening, and the mothers will split up from the young, because we as humans will naturally think that the young are with the mothers still. So the mothers will split away from the young, and the young will, the babies of the group, the children, will swim in a different direction. So the humans will carry on chasing the mothers and the adults. But we've got aeroplanes now that also, this is how committed to the cause us humans are about catching orca whales, is we use aeroplanes to get an aerial bird's eye view of where these whales are swimming. And then when the aeroplanes realise what's happened, they instruct the boats to go to a different way, because that's where the children have gone and the young ones have gone, and they're actually chasing the adults, which they don't want, because the adults have been in the wild for too long. They're too long in the tooth, they can't be told, they can't be trained, but the baby ones can be taken in and can be trained so they can do stunts. So what they do is they chase them, and they corner them. Is it corner? Can you corner them? I don't know if you can corner them, but they get them into one area and they let out big nets, and then they're caught in the nets and they drag them back and stuff like that, and then they transport them all around the world. I believe they're caught off the coast of Iceland, over Scandinavia sort of way. Is that Scandinavia? I don't know. Geography isn't my strong point, but they're caught over that way near Iceland, and then they're flown or shipped in cargo containers to places like California and Florida. So how distressing is that for them? And then all of their life they're kept in swimming pools, and the swimming pools are not the size of the ocean or the sea, and the pools that they're taken into to do performances is relatively big, because they need to swim around and stuff like that. But I did not know that overnight they are kept in a different pool. I just assumed they'd stay in the one that they would do their tricks in. But I was wrong, and they are kept in a little 12 metre by 12 metre box, basically. And they're left there all overnight, which isn't fair, because they're not supposed to be they're not supposed to be in captivity like that. They're a big animal, and this one whale, he killed 2 trainers. Because sometimes these whales strike back, and you can't really blame them, because they're being kept in solitary confinement, really, all in a cell all of their life, and then they're teased and they're poked, and they're expected to do stuff by humans. And sometimes the whales are like, nah, come on, and then they sort of drag the trainers into the water, and they eat them. But they don't always eat them. They kill them and then they parade them around for like days at a time. They will parade dead humans around for days at a time. And maybe it's like a statement, like a warning. But yeah, this one dude, where was I going with it? Where's my story going? Yeah, this one whale, Tilikum, his name is, he killed a couple of trainers, but rather than let him go back into the wild, they kept hold of him just to use his semen, because his semen was worth a lot of money because he was such a good breed of orca. So they would, someone would have to relieve him, and when he sprayed out, would catch it, and then they'd use that semen to produce different, other whales. Which is really I think it's really out of order, because he's kept in captivity all his life, and I don't think he's performing anymore because he's too volatile. So all they do is just use him for, his ejaculate, which is I'm pretty sure there's got to be some sort of like sexual harassment law against that, or bestiality law against that. But I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot pass too much of a judgment on that. What else has been going on? We've got a new car. We've got a new car now because, do you remember a few episodes ago I told you I crashed into Mrs. Hilda? And that, I crashed my car into Mrs. Hilda at 12 miles an hour going backwards. So the extent of the damage was not really that bad. However, the insurance company decided to call the car a total loss and wrote my car off. So we were then left to go and buy another car. So we had to find another car, and we bought a new car, which is good. We really like it, but should we have been driving around in a car that was going to be written off at 12 miles an hour? Because if something else had happened, if I'd have crashed this car, at 70 miles an hour with my nephews in the car and my niece in the car, then we could be looking at a very different podcast story. So, I'm glad to have a new car. I feel a bit safer in it. It's a bigger car. It's higher. I feel a lot better, and Hannah feels a lot better driving it. So, I suppose it's a win-win. It's a little bit of money laid out, but what can you do? It's part of life. It's part of being an adult, I suppose, and that's one of them things that gets me down. That's one of them things that makes me an emo. Is monies, because there's so much to pay for when you're an adult. You don't realise when you're a child how much there is to pay for. But it's not just us in that boat. Everyone's in the same boat. So, yeah. I've seen a lot of people moaning actually this week on Facebook about about fireworks, because they were going off at like 10 p.m. Sorry. You know what? Who cares? If someone's celebrating something and they need fireworks to celebrate, let them celebrate. It's obviously a good reason that they're celebrating. Don't come on fucking Facebook and, moan about it or pick holes in whatever they're celebrating. And where we live is like it's like a central place where cruise ships go from. So every time cruise ships go out, there's fireworks. So I don't know why we're not used to it. To be honest, I don't hear fireworks anymore. I just hear like a distant crack and a bang. I'm not fazed by it at all. I'm not bothered by it. But so many people I see moaning about it, and they're moaning at someone else's happiness. And that's the stage of life we've got now, where if somebody else is being happy and somebody else is celebrating something, and we don't think they should be celebrating it at that time, or we don't think it's worth celebrating, then we just try and debunk it all the time. That's what we've become, so it's not really fair. If somebody wants to celebrate stuff by, setting fire to gunpowder and making bangs in the sky, that's fine. As long as no one gets hurt, as long as everyone's enjoying themselves, then we should all be happy for them people, okay? So and these cruise ship people are, and these multi-million-pound cruise ship companies are not going to stop setting off fireworks just because, Roy from Southampton, who is now retired but likes to play golf and likes to fish, doesn't appreciate the noise. Okay, Roy? They're not going to stop it because of you. So, you just got to suck that up. And that was me sucking it up. So you should do that as well. We took the dog out for a walk the other day, as we do all the time. And what I did differently this time was left my phone in the car. I didn't take it with me. Usually I'd take it with me, and I'm distracted by it walking around, and I think I miss a lot of stuff. Maybe stuff that doesn't matter, but I still miss it. And I think we've fallen into a trap now where we tend to look at life through a phone screen rather than with our eyes. So I told myself, I'm going to leave my phone in the car. I'm going to walk the dog with Hannah. I'm going to talk to Hannah. I'm going to look around at my surroundings, and I'm going to take in what is going on around me. And you know what? I even said hello to people. I spoke to people I don't know. I spoke to strangers. And if there's anybody under the age of 18 listening, I do not recommend you speak to strangers unless there is a supervisor, an adult there. So that's not me telling anybody to go talk to strangers. But I spoke to strangers. But I spoke because I was in a good mood, and I was seeing things for, what was in front of me rather than seeing it through Instagrams. So that felt good, really, to be able to, I didn't see too much, nothing was, spectacular, but I did see things, I just looked at things, I was aware of my surroundings. I looked around at what other people were doing. I noticed and acknowledged other people. I had in-depth conversations with Hannah, and that's stuff that wouldn't happen usually. So I'm becoming a big advocate now of leaving my phone away when I'm doing stuff with people. If I go out for dinner, 9 times out of 10, my phone won't come out. My phone will be either in the car or in my pocket. Because we've got to the point now where we feel like we're attached to our phones, like we need our phones, because that one, we tell ourselves, if you don't take your phone, the one time you don't take it, something will happen and someone will need you. That's what we told ourselves. That's our brain. That's what our brain has told us to believe. Which is a bit strange, because our brain has told us that, but our brain's also believed it. So our brain has sort of believed its own propaganda. But yeah, we as humans believe that the one time we don't take something with us is the one time we will need it the most. But I'll leave my phone in my pocket or in the car. I believe if you're out having dinner with somebody or with people, I believe your phone should not be out. I believe it's rude to have your phone on a table, because the people you are out with deserve your attention, and you shouldn't have any distractions. But that's just me. That's just that's just the way I think, and that's just the way I feel. But I'm not sure if anybody else feels like that. But I do. So that's what I do. And again, that goes back to my gratitude list, because everyone's individual. Some people may sit on their phone all evening at dinner, and if that is, I wouldn't go out with them again if that was me. But yeah, we're all individual, so we all do what we want to do. But that's just what I do. Excuse me, I'm just having some water. Okay, so let's have a look at some news headlines. Now, I've got a feeling this is going to be a short episode today, because I've got some adult stuff to do today. I've got some errands to run for the charity event that we're running for Rett UK, which is the amazing charity which supports our niece. Our niece has got Rett syndrome, which is a rare neurological disorder which affects 1 in 12,000 young girls who survive pregnancy or survive birth. So we're running. Last year we done a fundraiser for solely for my niece, and we raised over £5,000 for her educational equipment and like physical development equipment. So we raised a lot of money for her last year, and then this year, we decided after the success of the event last year that we're going to make it an annual thing. What we're going to do is we can't expect people to always pay into our niece, because there's other people out there in need as well. So what we decided to do was each year raise money for the charities which help my niece and our family. So this year we're raising money for Ret UK, who have been a great help for our family. And if you're interested in any of these events or in my niece's journey, then you can follow her Facebook by searching Eva's Dreams, EVA_S Dreams, and that account is ran and managed by me, and it's basically just a document of her life and her journey, and her friends that she meets as well who are suffering the same thing, and the journey that the families go through as well. So if you want to follow her page, please do, and everyone is welcome to attend these charity fundraisers. And this is going to be in Southampton on the 24th of November. So if that's something you're interested in, then look on the Facebook, baby, because that's where it is, Cat Daddy. Okay, so my first headline this week is let's go with that one. So, a woman in Florida, okay, get this, so I'll set the scene, a crazy lady has had a falling out with her on and off boyfriend. Let's call them, we'll call her Jamie Lee. We'll call her Jamie Lee, because that's quite a Florida name. And we'll call him Dustin. So Jamie Lee and Dustin had a falling out, okay? Dustin doesn't live where Jamie Lee lives. So Jamie Lee needs to get to him. So Jamie Lee steals a car. She steals an SUV. That's a sports utility vehicle. So she steals the SUV to go and, hunt down Dustin and maybe, have an argument with him or physically hurt him. So she steals this car and she's travelling to go and hurt Dustin, or maybe just talk it out. Who knows? But as always, when someone steals your car, you report it to the police. And the police have picked up on the fact that Jamie Lee has stole this car. And they're chasing her. And she looks in her rearview mirror when she's being chased. And she's being chased by the police and a fucking herd of cows. Now, I don't know what type of cows these were to be keeping up with an SUV, alright? But the fucking cows were chasing her. The cows were chasing down her and the stolen car, because she was in the stolen car driving it, and the cows were chasing her. Now, I'm not sure what they're feeding their cows in Florida. Maybe we should feed it to some of our fucking Team GB athletes for the Olympics. But these cows were chasing down, Jamie Lee, fictional character Jamie Lee, in a car. Now, is that not madness? Cows chasing a car. Because the only cows I've ever seen, you've got a job to move out of the road because they're too fucking lazy to do anything. Then they'll stand in the middle of the road and they will shit in the road, and you try and bib at them to move them. But these cows in Florida are all jacked up on Mountain Dew, and they're fucking chasing down criminals. They're vigilante cows. Let that sink in. That is crazy. And, I'm pretty sure if I was running from the police and I was being chased by cows, I'm pulling over. Because I want to get these fucking cows' autograph for a start. Because they're obviously going to be future marathon runners. The first cow to complete the London Marathon. And I got his autograph. Come on. Another headline was a Georgian boy. And I believe when they say Georgian boy, they mean where he's from and not the time that he's from. Because if this was a boy from the Georgian times, then we need to be looking at the bigger picture, and we need to be looking at how the fuck he's here and where's his time capsule, where's his time traveling machine. So I'm assuming when they say Georgian boy, they mean where he's from, Georgia. And I don't think that's Georgia in the USA. I believe that is Georgia, which is in Europe somewhere, maybe over by Russia, maybe. And like I said, geography is not on top of my CV. So I'm thinking Georgia's by Russia, maybe. If there is any geographicians, geographers out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that Georgia is over by Russia and them parts. And the headline is, a Georgian boy solves Rubik's Cube underwater in one breath. Okay, now let me break this down a little bit, because if anybody's ever done a Rubik's Cube or attempted seriously to do a Rubik's Cube, then you would know it's hard to do in your natural your natural habitat. Breathing in the air you're supposed to breathe in with no stress. Maybe in a quiet room, maybe within like an adjudicator there, maybe. To make sure you're not cheating. That's stressful enough. I used to do a Rubik's Cube to de-stress, but it used to have the reverse effect, and it ended up getting broken, so it didn't last long. And then underwater in one breath. He's either one of these freestyle one breath divers and can regulate his breathing very well and has a good lung capacity, or he's maybe just superhuman. Maybe over there in Georgia they're growing up next to nuclear power plants and they're just different. But I panic if I'm in the bath if I put my head under the water in the bath to sort of wash my hair. I panic if I'm down there for too long, and that's just simply washing my hair, not trying to do a Rubik's Cube. So imagine, it's hard enough to do a Rubik's Cube, and it's hard enough to stay underwater for X amount of time with one breath, let alone collaborating the two, making the two together, staying underwater with only one breath in your lungs and completing a Rubik's Cube. Now, whilst I've got you here and on this subject, I am just going to have a look at the quickest time someone has ever done a Rubik's Cube in. So if you just bear with me. The quickest time to complete a Rubik's Cube. Popped up, so it's obviously been searched a lot. The average time. The world record for average time per solve was by Felix Zemdegs at the Melbourne Cube Day 2013. And I'm just going to go ahead here and say, if you're looking for, this is probably also two world records. This is probably the world record for the average, the quickest Rubik's Cube to be solved, and probably a world record for the largest amount of virgins in any one place at one time. So, the world record for average time per solve was set by Felix Zemdegs at the Melbourne Cube Day in 2013, with a 6.54 second average. What? Gabriel Piera Campana solved a Rubik's Cube with his feet in 25.14 seconds. Okay, that's blown my head a little bit, because we've got somebody out here in this world who is solving a Rubik's Cube with his feet. 90% of the world can't do it with hands. And then we've got this Georgian boy who's doing it underwater. So I'm not sure how long it took him. Maybe he had a strict training camp, maybe, where he was just doing Rubik's Cube all morning, and then in the afternoon he was, hold his breath in the tub. Maybe he did that and built up to it and then did it. I'm just going to go ahead and say he didn't just decide to do it and get in the water, hold his breath and say, give me a Rubik's Cube, I'm going in. But 6.54 seconds to complete a Rubik's Cube? Come on, that's some crazy times. I think it would take me maybe 6.54 days. And that's not a joke either, because that's not a lie or an exaggeration. Because I lose interest with things like that real quick. Yeah, but I go back to what I was saying. Virgins in one place. That's got to be a world record as well. Okay, my last headline I'm going to cover before I wrap it up. What time are we on? 41 minutes, baby. Okay, yeah, so it's going to be about this 500 foot wide meteor, which apparently just skimmed the Earth at 20,000 miles per hour. I feel like there should probably be a bit more of a concern around what's going on here, because if something that is 500 feet wide I'm going to break it down for you here, okay? And as a quoter, I am not an astrologist, a physicist, a chemist, whatever. Not a scientist. This is just my thought from the toilet breakdown on meteors. So, something which is 500 feet wide or across or, in size is big. I believe they compared this meteor to the same size as one of the pyramids in Egypt. Now I'm going to get all technical for you here, okay? And I'm going to use words like axis. But the world that we are on, and it's not round. No, shit. It's not flat, sorry, it's round. And, I'm not going to edit that out because it's just raw. And I just said the Earth is not round. But I didn't mean it. And I corrected myself and I said the Earth is not flat. The Earth is round. So any flat Earthers, I'm not on your team, okay? I'm still on the round Earth hype. So, our round Earth is on an axis. And they are known as the poles. And not them people that are from Poland. We refer to them as North and South Pole. And it's almost as if you'd stick a cocktail stick for a pickled onion. If you could all imagine that in your head, that is the world. And then you tilt it a little bit, and that is us. We're sat on an axis on our poles, and we spin, and that causes gravity. Okay. See how technical I am? See how good I am? Now you can see why, I failed science in school. And we are so perfectly placed in our atmosphere that if we moved, maybe feet either way of where we are, then we would cease to exist because everything would go to shit and the world would be no more. So, if something which was 500 feet in size, whether it is width, length, height, if 500 foot of rock and, molten space metals, and who knows, maybe even some people that have been caught up in space have been picked up by this meteor. But if it is 500 feet in size and it hits our Earth at 20,000 miles an hour, we're going to be knocked off of our axis. And that is that. No more gravity, no more Love Island, no more Great British Bake Off, because, we'd be gone. That'd be us gone from the gene pool. And I just feel like there should be a little bit, I say a bit more, like bit more of a warning around it, but there's not a lot really you can do. I mean, Donald Trump has created his Space Force. Maybe he could deploy the Space Force to go and intercept it. I know there's ways we can fire like missiles at it, I believe, and it'll sort of disintegrate and break bits off of it and try and slow it down or change its path of trajectory. But there's, apparently skimmed the Earth. I'm not sure in scientific, like astronomical terms, what they would class as skimming. I'm sorry, guys, you won't know this, but you may have heard the knock at the door there. Someone was just at my door delivering a package, so I had to pause it quickly. And I won't edit it out because I don't lie to you guys. But yes, getting back to it, what was I saying? I'm not sure in astronomical terms how close they would class as skimming. Has it missed us by 10,000 miles? Is that skimming, or has someone got a fucking friction burn off it? It was on the beach in Mexico. You sat down in Mexico on La Playa, and this fucking asteroid comes across and takes the skin off your knee. Is that skimming, or is it 10,000 miles away? I don't know. But I know we're still here. We've got another podcast done. It's episode 10. We're 10 episodes deep, baby. That's 10 weeks worth of me talking to myself and no one listening. Ooh. So we're 10 weeks in, and hopefully we're not going to get hit by any asteroids, so we can carry on doing this. But I'm going to wrap it up because it actually has gone on longer than what I expected. So I hope you enjoyed this episode number 10. And I'll be back at some point next week. Maybe. Because obviously I'm going away with Hannah and Hannah's parents. So if I can, I'll squeeze one in. If not, I'll make it up to you. But have a good weekend. It's Friday the 31st of August. Tomorrow is the 1st of September. It's pay weekend for some of us. Go out, have fun, be safe. Be good to yourself, because self-love and being emotionally self-sufficient is the flavour of the day. So go out, have fun, wear condoms, unless you know the person and you both consent to not wearing condoms, and never play leapfrog with a unicorn. See you guys.